Alright, Miss Gregory here, lesson 1.3 on rates. We've talked about ratios, now we're going into rates. This is still part of the ratio and proportions standard. Workbook pages are listed. You need your workbook, and I will also talk about the inquiry lab that would be a great activity for you to either start with before you watch the video or after you watch the video. But remember, this is time for notes, so you need your workbook to fill in the blanks and your notebook to write anything else necessary. Alright, when you're ready, move on. This is the one of the workbook pages on the inquiry lab. This is giving you practice using the bar diagrams, which you are going to have to know how to use. So this is a good way to practice. Alright, move on. Starting on page 31 in your workbook, I want you to fill in the blanks. This is a screenshot of my teacher edition. The pink words are the ones that you need to fill in on your paper. This is the vocabulary startup. And again, this is a good page to help you realize the difference between fractions, ratios, rates, and unit rates, but also see how they are alike. So you have definitions here, and you have examples of each on the right side of the column. So take a moment to pause the video, make sure you have all of this filled in before you move on to the next screen in the video. Pause now, I'm moving on. Okay, now we're on page 32. Talking about finding a unit rate. Okay, you've got examples 1 and 2 in your book. I'm going to point out to the side the little taped information in your work zone called simplifying ratios. This kind of breaks it down for you. Looking at the least common factor, you would find the least common factor to be 1. To find the unit rate of the ratio, and you can see here the information, 3 miles in 5 minutes. Divide both the numerator and the denominator by 5. So the unit rate in the fraction is 3/5 mile per minute. So this goes with example 2. Australian dragonfly can travel 18 miles in 30 minutes. So your first step is to write the rate as a fraction. Then your second step is to divide. If you look over here with the blue arrows, it's asking you to divide what's the greatest common factor of 18 and 30, and it would be 6. So you can simplify this down, dividing top and bottom by 6 to 3 miles in 5 minutes. You can't simplify this any further with whole numbers, and that's important. So you can write this as 3 miles per 5 minutes, or 3/5 of a mile to 1 minute. Again, it's very important to make sure with unit rates you are not just writing the fraction, which is just numbers, but you are writing the units, both units that go with the fraction, as in miles and minutes in this example. All right, now I want you to try the got it. There's A and B. It's in your workbook, and there is a screenshot of this here. So again, follow the directions like the examples on the same page, 32 in your workbook. Pause the video, make sure you work it yourself, and then come back to check your answers. Okay, and if you take a look here, the got it answers are there for A and B. The highlighted information for the problem is what's important. But you are basically simplifying this rate. You write the rate as a fraction and then simplify it, but don't forget the units that go with it. You cannot leave just numbers. So you can leave it as a fraction with the units, or like as in problem A, I wrote in words 7 songs per minute. Jonathan used 3/4 cup of water per cup of flour. 9/12 being simplified to 3/4. Again, don't forget the units of measure that go with it. Okay, moving to the next page if you have all this copied. If not, pause. All right, next we're going to talk about unit pricing and unit rates. Okay, since we're talking about money here, this is going to be specific to unit pricing. We're trying to get the price per unit. So example 4 is a problem with 4 potted plants, cost $88. What is the price per plant, or what's the unit price? So again, your first step, write the fraction with the unit. So you've got $88 per 4 plants. You know that you are writing this as a unit rate, and your unit rate, the denominator, is always 1. Okay, important to know. Okay, so they're able to say price per plant. You are trying to go from 4 plants to 1 plant. How would you go from 4 to 1? You would have to divide by 4, which they show there in the blue. If you divide by 4 on the bottom, you need to divide by 4 on the top. So 88 divided by 4 is $22. So the price per potted plant is $22. Again, must always keep the unit. So you need the $sign with this money problem for unit rate or unit price. Both of these words are important. Okay, go ahead. If you've copied this, go to the next page. This is a snapshot of the guided practice on page 34, right below the example we just worked. I want you to take a moment and see how many of these you can answer on your own, showing the work here in the workbook, making sure you take care of the rates and units shown, not just the numbers. Then come back and check yourself, see if you got the answers correct, and then you can rate yourself based on your knowledge. Okay, come back, you'll check answers. Okay, hopefully you have tried these on your own and you see that mostly pretty easy to simplify. It was an easy job to find the greatest common factor and simplify all of these down. If you still have questions, then we can talk about them in class. I do want you to see if you can write an answer to number 7, talking about rates and ratios and how they're related. And then please rate yourself whether you understand how to find a unit rate and you're ready to move on, or if you are still having some questions about rates. Make sure you've copied the correct answers before you leave the video. And that's a wrap. Have a good night.
Tim said to me last, if you remember what you're fighting for, you will never